Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Gaur Premanandi Hayaribo Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavrajak Acharya Asatar Sata Sri Sriman ISKCON BBT Founder Acharyas of Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhu Om Vishnupada Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudhi Gauravakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopanath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajabhumi Namadam Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Chal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamayi Ki Jai, Jamunamayi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. The most beautiful lordship, Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai, Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladevi Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihad Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadhiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing our reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is chapter 23, entitled Devahuti's Lamentation, and today's text should be 9. Evang Bruvana Babala Kila Yoga Maya Vidya Vichakshanam Aveksha Gatadhirasit Samprashraya Pranaya Vivalaya Gireshad Rida Maloka Vilasad Dasita Nanaha Evang Bruvana Mabala Kila Yoga Maya Vidya Vichakshanam Aveksha Gatadhirasit Samprashraya Pranaya Vivalaya Gireshad Rida Valoka Vilasad Dasitana Naha Evang Bruvana Mabala Kila Yoga Maya Vidya Vichakshanam Aveksha Gatadhirasit Samprashraya Pranaya Vivalaya Gireshad Rida Valoka Vilasad Dasitana Naha. Please chant. Vaishnavis. So, synonyms. Evam, thus. Bruvanam, speaking. Abala, the woman. Akhila, all. Yogamaya, of transcendental science. Vidya Vichakshanam, excelling in knowledge. Aveksha, after hearing. Gata adihi, satisfied. Asit, she became. Samprashraya, with humility. Pranaya, and with love. Vivalaya, choked up. Gira, with a voice. Ishat, slightly. Brida, bashful. Avaloka, with a glance. Vilasat, shining. Hasita, smiling. Anana, her face. Aha, she spoke. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. Please repeat. Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is said that if one is already engaged in Krishna consciousness and is rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord, then it can be supposed that he has finished all the recommended courses of austerity, penance, religion, sacrifice, mystic yoga, and meditation. Devahuti's husband was so expert in the transcendental science that there was nothing for him to argue about. And when she heard him speak, she was confident that since he was very much advanced in devotional service, he had already surpassed all transcendental educational activities. She had no doubt about the gifts offered by her husband. She knew that he was expert in offering such gifts. And when she understood that he was offering the greatest gift, she was very satisfied. She was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and therefore she could not reply. Then, with faltering language, just like an attractive wife, she spoke the following words. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachidishtarne Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishnang Shnapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeyahang Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishyavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kopaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter is entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. But after understanding Devahuti's situation prior to getting married, one would ask, what did she have to lament about? Her father was the emperor of the universe. He's the Manu, the reigning Manu. She's beautiful, so beautiful that Vishwavasu fell from his airplane seeing her on the top of her father's palace. She's obviously educated. We hear how every day Swayambhuva Manu would have reciters reciting Vedic knowledge, Vedic wisdom, glorification of Krishna. So she obviously heard this growing up. And that's not to be taken lightly. We have experienced in our own movement that children who are born in the movement and raised by parents who insist that they hear this knowledge regularly, it becomes embedded in their consciousness. Like I was in Chennai recently, Suresh Krishna and Sundari Gopika, you may remember. So they have their two children, their daughter Shyama and the son Shukadev. So I was there, recorded them chanting. I haven't put it up on Facebook yet. I will shortly. But they know. And before that, I was in Melkote, nice devotee family there. The daughter is about 12, the son 14, and they also recited. I recorded. I'm going to also post that at some time, get around to it. But they know Bhagavad Gita, practically the whole book. I asked them, when I heard that, I said, is this for real? They said, yeah. I said, can you recite a chapter for me? And they said, yes. I said, well, which chapter do you want to recite? They said, chapter 1. I said, that's one of the hardest ones. It's mostly just names. To remember all those names in sequence, it's not easy. But they said, no, we'll do it. So they sat down and they recited first chapter of Bhagavad Gita together in tandem, brother and sister. So this is not to be taken lightly. When someone is born in a Krishna conscious family and exposed to Krishna conscious activities on a daily basis, even before birth, as we know, Prahlad Maharaj in the womb of his mother, he heard from Narada Muni and he remembered. He memorized everything that he heard in the womb. So these are not ordinary personalities. So Devahuti is not ordinary. So why is this chapter labeled Devahuti's Lamentation? What is she? And then after leaving home and getting married, she's married to a great sage, not just a great devotee, but he's a mystic, came from the mystic path to devotional perfection. And now he's awarding her these gifts. So what does she have to lament about? So we'll find out. And that last verse I've recited many times because it stuck in my mind when I first read this chapter. About after all of this, at the end of this chapter, she's lamenting. But her lamentation is not like ordinary lamentation. Ordinary lamentation is condemned. It's one of the two things that the materially contaminated mind puts the conditioned soul through. Hankering and lamentation. Sochati, Kangshati. One is supposed to come in the human form of life to the Brahmabhuta platform. Brahmabhuta, Prasanna Atma. Na Sochati, na Kangshati. So her lamentation, as we'll find out, is not of that nature. It's not of the nature of I want, gimme. And then I get it, I'm still not satisfied, or somebody takes it away and then I lament, I used to have this, or I used to be involved with that person and now they don't want to see me anymore. All right, there was a popular song that says that. Once I ran to you, now I run from you. So this is going on in the material world. Everybody's chasing after people, or chasing after situations, or chasing after places they want to live. And then they get it and they're still not happy, and then they want to leave. And even within our ISKCON movement, this goes on. I've said this many times. One guru I was having lunch with one day, and he was complaining to me that my disciples always bother me asking for permission to leave this temple and go to that temple. Guru Maharaj, can I leave here? I'm not happy in New York. I want to go to London, or I want to go to Mayapur, or whatever. He said they don't realize that wherever they go, their minds go with them. And the mind is the problem. It's not that by changing this, which temple you're at, you're going to have a better time or easier time, or no. It's your mentality that needs to be renovated. So Devahuti is not in that situation. She's not lamenting because her mind is, messed up, and she's not going to lament for that reason. And Prabhupada begins his purport by saying, it is said, let me read exactly what Prabhupada said here, because it's interesting. It is said that if one is already engaged in Krishna consciousness and is rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord, then it can be supposed that he has finished all the recommended courses of austerity, penance, religion, sacrifice, mystic yoga. So who said that? Devahuti. Later on, she's going to say this. Aho bhata sapachokaryan. She's going to say that famous verse. That, as far as she's concerned, anybody who's chanting the holy names of the Lord has already completed all of these things. Study of the Vedas, mystic yoga, sacrifice, all of these things have been already done by such a person. Does that mean that we should all feel puffed up? We're chanting Hare Krishna seriously every day. That means we've already completed? No, one should not necessarily think like that. One should think that it's by the mercy of my spiritual master, he has convinced me to take to this path of Bhakti Yoga, which primarily means, in our case, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the recommended process for this age. In previous ages, as we know, Kritya Jayato Vishnu, that in the age Satya Yuga, what Kardama Muni was doing was a recommended process. Sit down in meditation for not just a few days, few months, few years, but for thousands and thousands of years, because the lifespan was such. But although their lifespan was so long, the life of Swayambhu Manu's 71.5 rotations of the 4 yugas, very, very long life, more than 300 million years. But just look from the perspective of Lord Brahma. 71 Manus appear in each day of Brahma, 72. So just imagine, Brahma is like the father of everybody here. Just imagine, every day, so many of your offspring are born and disappear. Born and disappear. Imagine in your own life if that was the case. Every single day. And that's on the higher level. Just imagine on lower levels, like on this earth planet, how quickly we appear and disappear from Lord Brahma's perspective. How would you feel if every day your children would appear and disappear, and the next day you have more children, they appear and disappear like that? So this is going on. This is from Brahma's point of view. From the point of Swayambhu Manu, he's living a very long time. From our perspective, extremely long time. We can't imagine how long he's living. But still, his life is dedicated to Krishna consciousness, and that has been passed on to his daughter, so she appreciates having a sage like Kardama Muni as her husband. It's not that she was miserable. We shouldn't think like that. That Devahuti was miserable because she was serving her husband, and she couldn't wait for him to take her on a trip all over the universe to enjoy. No, she was happy in the mood of service. And that should be our takeaway. One should be happy in serving. And it's not that only the husband serves the wife, or the citizens serve the king, or no, everybody's a servant. Everybody's a servant. Ekala Ishwar Krishna are sabritya. Every one of us, if we accept, again, especially what Lord Chaitanya says, Krishnera Sarup Hoy, Jivera Sarup Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Jivera Swarupa, our own form, our original form, original constitutional position, is to be Krishnera Nityadas, always in service to Krishna. And we are happy if we're actually doing it properly. It's not a difficult, painful existence for somebody to be a servant of Krishna. And therefore, those who are actually advanced, like you'll find in the Mukunda Mala Stotra, text 25, in Kulashekar is praying, Majjanmanam Paramidam Madakaitabhare Yad Prartaniya Yadanugra Eva Esha Twad Britta Britta Paricharyaka Britta Britta Brittasya Britta Iti Mam Sparalo Kanata. He's praying that, oh my Lord, Lokanath, Madhu, killer of Madhu and Kaitam, the highest perfection of my life and the best gift that you can give me is to think of me as a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of your servant. That's where that phrase comes from, servant of the servant. And it's not just, again, philosophy. It actually is the natural position. It's not that even in Goloka or in any of the Vaikuntha planets that everybody's directly rendering service to Lord Vishnu or to Krishna. No, one is happily serving another devotee who's serving another devotee who's serving Krishna. And everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. So this begins here. We're being trained to reawaken that mood of Brityasya Britta Paricharika Britta Brisya. To be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. Not like Prabhupada said, the Mayavadis. Their attitude is, I take a guru, I learn from the guru, and then when I get elevated, I kick him away. I don't need him anymore. I become the guru, I become powerful personality. Everybody bows down to me. That's not the devotee's motivation. We don't accept a guru in that mood. That I want a guru who's going to train me in Bhakti Yoga, and then when I become perfect in Bhakti Yoga, I don't need guru anymore, then I become world renowned as a big Bhakti Yogi, and I can put everybody into Bhava. Or become renowned as a silent sage. Our dear departed Surya used to always remind us that there's a group who they say like that. Our guru, he never wrote any books. He didn't open any temples. He just sat down and emanated this divine light, and we all bathed in that divine light. Bogus. That's not guru. At least not in our line. Just sit down and emanate divine light for people to bathe in. No. The guru is supposed to be expert in the art of devotional service, drowning in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of devotional service. That's what it literally means. Prabhupada gave us the title Nectar of Devotion, but it's the nectar that one obtains from drowning in the ocean of devotion. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Sindhu means ocean. So one has to literally dive in and drown oneself in the ocean of devotional service. Then one is happy in any situation. So Devahuti was already happy, and her lamentation, the things she's going to ask for, they're not fueled by, again, the hankering and lamentation that conditioned souls experience. Conditioned souls hanker, and no matter how much they get, they can never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. And in that state of dissatisfaction, they do all kinds of horrible things. And this transcends socio-economic situation. On the one end, higher end, we have people like Ravana, educated, wealthy beyond our calculation, but still was dissatisfied so much that he had to steal somebody else's wife and try to coerce her into having union with him. Such a vicious person. And therefore, Lord Ram is celebrated for killing him. Right? What is that first line of that verse from the Dasavatar Stotra regarding Ram? What's the first line? Give me the first line and the rest will come back. Come on. Who knows? Everybody should know that. No, that's Matsya. What's the one for Rama? What's the first word of the verse for Rama? Anyway, it starts with a V. Senior moment. It's be something. Dikshurane dikpati kamaniyam. Anyway, you know the verse. Glorifying Lord Ram. It says that he destroyed the 10-headed demon, Ravana, as an offering to the Dikpatis, the directors of all the 10 directions, which they long desired in the Battle of Lanka. Rane means in the Battle of Lanka. So, on the highest level, we have, again, people like Ravana, who had everything you could desire materially, but still was not satisfied. And then on the other end, you have poor people who take to committing crimes to try to satisfy their needs. Just happened recently in Trinidad. We have 3 temples there. One of them was attacked by these vicious people on Ram Navami, on the appearance day of Lord Ram. Instead of going to the temple to bow down to Lord Ram, hear glorification of Lord Ram, they went to the temple and beat up devotees, robbed the treasury. Agnidev was there, they tied him up. They beat up men and women. It's so vicious. So the material energy can cover us to such a degree that a living entity wakes up one day and makes a plan to go out and harm another living entity. Not just harm, sometimes up to the point of killing. You can turn that off. We don't need it on. So, yeah, Vittarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Rama Kamaniyam. Yeah, that was Vittarasi. So, the material energy, it's so heavy, and this is what she's going to pray at this last verse of this chapter. She's going to pray, Sohang Bhagavatonu, Vanchita Mayaya Dridam, that the material energy is so drida, so strong, that it covers us, that we completely forget our original happy nature of service together to Krishna, not that we're all serving individually. Together, everybody's happily serving Krishna in the spiritual world. And that can be obtained here also. We experience that to a certain degree. Serving together in whichever department, hearing and chanting together, which is also service, by the way. It's not that only when you do something physical, but that's also physical, using the tongue to chant and the ears to hear, the feet to dance. So when we come together and chant and dance in front of the deities, that's service. And Krishna loves it. He appreciates that. Prabhupada said, if at home, it's not even necessary to install deities. Just have a picture of the Panchatattva and come before them and chant Hare Krishna and read Bhagavad Gita. So this is happy life, but when we're not on that platform, we can fall into such low consciousness that we make plans to harm others, either directly or indirectly. So these rascals attacked our temple, and it's not the first time, as you know, ISKCON temples have been attacked. And therefore, Prabhupada right here in New Dwarka said that we have to take it seriously to protect the deities and the devotees, which means some of our devotees. It's not that everybody has a Chatra spirit, but some have to cultivate that. Some have to be trained in martial arts. Some have to be trained, Prabhupada says specifically how to use guns and sticks to protect the other devotees. Some of us in this very community stay up all night on guard duty, which is not foreign. Krishna stayed up all night for the Pandavas. He was the night guard for the Pandavas. So God himself does that. God himself does night duty, night guarding. So we shouldn't take it as some lesser service or, no. It's very important service to protect the deities, protect the devotees. Very, very important. And if we don't do it properly, then we lament. And we should lament. This is what happened in New Vrindavan. Those bikers attacked the New Vrindavan temple and broke the deity. And the devotees who were there who didn't do anything, later on, at least one of them came to me personally, was lamenting that I'm still so mad at myself after all these years. I should have died to protect the deities. So we have to take it seriously to protect other devotees. At least some devotees have to do that. So when Prabhupada said that back in the 70s, immediately some devotees bought guns and they were training to shoot guns and how to use sticks. And then the mood kind of went away. But we're in a very dangerous age. People are literally crazy. They're crazy. To put it mildly, or put it in the vernacular, they're nuts. Their minds are gone because they're so covered over by the material energy. They don't have control of the mind. So whatever the mind says to do, they do it. Like that famous case in New York, Son of Sam. It was crazy. He was hearing voices telling him to go out and kill people. Especially he was targeting couples. He would find them at night in parks or whatever and kill them. And then when he got caught, he said, God told me to do it. See, that's how crazy they are. They think the voices they hear is God, and God is telling me to do this horrible thing, so I must do it. So we have a very, very tough job. First of all, we have to convince ourselves to allow ourselves to be convinced by Prabhupada and predecessor acharyas to make progress in Krishna consciousness. It's stated here that Devahuti was choked up out of love. This is not love of Krishna, love of her husband, which is natural. Love of another living being is natural. You see people dedicate their lives to dogs. They love dogs, cats. It's not unnatural. But love of God is the topmost. So it supersedes all other love that we have for animals, for each other. So if we're not yet back on that platform of love of God, then all these other attractions seem to be so powerful. Attraction for another human being, attraction for animal. But when the attraction for Krishna is awakened, and where does this love come from? It comes from Krishna himself. We know from the Brahma Samhita, Alola Chanjakala Sadbanamadi Vansi, Ratnanganam, Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasa. Very important. Pranaya, as that word actually appears in today's verse also, love. Pranaya, love. Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasa means always revels in pastimes of love. So that's our natural situation, to be reveling in pastimes of love. Love for Krishna, love for everybody, love for the cows, the land, Yamuna, Mata Yashoda, everybody, nothing but love. They say God is love, but they don't know how much love is emanating from God eternally. It doesn't stop, ever increasing. And that's what we're meant to drown in. But we have to approach it from the platform of Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When we willingly and energetically dive into the ocean of bhakti, devotional service, proper translated, not just love, devotional service. When we dive into that ocean, we see how enjoyable it is. Even the tasks that look to be difficult, like now some of our young devotees are being trained to distribute books. And they enjoy it. I was speaking recently with some of them, some of these young men that are going out, and they're relishing. It's not easy, it's difficult approaching strangers and traveling from here to there, but they're relishing it. Because there's a rasa there, there's a taste. So us knows for many years he was on the road doing that. There's a taste that you can't get anywhere else from surrendering to that particular service, or surrendering to any service. Because on the absolute platform, all service, Krishna is not seeing any difference. Like Prabhupada said right here also, the pujari who's offering the rose is no better than the gardener who grew the rose. Typically our gardeners are not necessarily brahmanas. They don't go on the altar. Some are. Some of our brahmanas here, they grow roses and bring them to the... But generally speaking, the gardener, just like we have our Gavino here, he's not even initiated. But he's, taking care of Krishna's property very seriously. Watering the plants and weeding. And so this is appreciated. Krishna appreciates it. Prabhupada appreciated. He said this block should be maintained very nicely. And our neighbors appreciate how nicely this place is maintained. Because you go in so many places in Los Angeles and they run down, nobody takes care of anything, the buildings fall apart, the lawns are overgrown. So people appreciate from a material perspective when you keep things nice. Maintain your car nicely, maintain your house nicely, maintain your garden nicely. But from the spiritual perspective, it's even beyond that, just nice materially. Krishna appreciates that we're giving our time and energy to do something that is used in His service, to grow some flowers, or as I was suggesting last time, we should also grow something edible. We have sufficient little space here, because this time is coming, as Prabhupada predicted, where this oil economy is going to completely fall apart. You won't be able to go to Trader Joe's and buy apples and bananas, and so we have to be ready. Either we have to have a farm somewhere, and in addition to that, even those who are preaching in the city, every little square inch of ground, or even in your apartment, you can do it. In a flower pot, you can grow some herbs at least, or even some tomatoes on a vine. It's going to be critical one day. So we should take it very seriously, protecting the deities and the devotees, planning, looking ahead, not being blindsided when things fall apart. I'm sure Subhas already has a stock of grains. At least I remember when Jagannath was here, he'd regularly come to me for signs to put on the different bins. And so yes, we have to look, the leaders have to look forward, because the rank and file devotees, they're not necessarily thinking about this all the time, but the leaders have to think ahead, look ahead, what's possibly going to come down the pike, and be ready for it. Okay, went a little over, so Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.